Thanks, sir. Appreciate it. Good morning. Welcome to the August 18th meeting of Raleigh County Commissioners. Please stand and join in the pledge.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Mike. Do you have any public comments?
You may start.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay.
Get their
Thank you.
station name.
My name is Rhonda Dale, and I have the property at 1442 Pillsbury Drive, but I also live out in the county and not in the city limits on Rogers Boulevard. That's where I live, 2416 Rogers Boulevard. I have been a resident of Manhattan and Riley County for probably ever since I was in college in 1957. That's when I started. I'm 83 years old. And I'm going strong. Okay. Now, what's got me in order is that I wore my husband's hat. I know I look silly, but he was a car lover. And he was a member of the SEC of America. And he did weight racing, got our boys into it. Was at Heartland Park almost every weekend when he was well, and doing corner work, and the boys like to race cars. So I'm a little concerned about the idea of having the lack of compliance, because the first time I ever heard of it, shame on the county commissioners, was when I got the letter on August the 13th about us not meeting the compliance. I am sorry, if you were talking about this from 2021, I don't know when it started, I couldn't find it on the website, and 2022, at least half of it, why were we not notified that you were thinking about it? That is a terrible thing in a democracy.
What are you talking about?
The compliance about taking the auto shops away from the Pillsbury Drive. You don't know about that? If you don't know about that, then you should not be doing it. I think that's very sad, very sad. We should have been told, as 11 automobile shops are going to be affected by your compliance. And when you had all these, I don't know when you even started to talk about it, if it was just an idea, the millions of dollars that some of the businesses will lose, either trying to leave or trying to figure out how to sell. Are you planning on paying for them moving and relocating if they want to have the business? Okay. So my concern is, I think you should stop it right now and let the people that have those 11 businesses make a plan, because what you have done is not good at all, and it's not fair. Because you don't know what it costs to have a business. Most of you are not riding donkeys to work. You're not riding camels to work, but I would presume that you are riding a car. It takes a lot of money, a lot of knowledge to be an auto mechanic. My idea, real quick, is that you could turn that into a yard art museum all the way down the road, because people love to do that are in this real big, taking welding and taking scraps of metal and cars and putting them out along the edge and make it an art scene with using cars. And that is done. You have a place or two out in Western Kansas. There's places in other places in the United States. So please stop this, because I'm going to get very public with it, because it's not fair when we were never, ever notified. So that's what my heart is right there. My tears are crying because these people that invested in that. I'm done. Okay. So that's what I hope you will stop it because I'm notifying everybody I can because you didn't notify us. Shame on you. Shame, shame. Okay.
Rodney,
Yes.
where did this notice come from? We're all somewhat.
Oh, you don't have it? I have it right here.
Can I see it?
Yes, sure.
I
This
don't
is
know.
my big.
It's not to everyone. One that have been complicated.
We'll give it back.
Sure.
Let's put that back. Okay. We just want to be sure
Oh,
what
yeah.
you're talking about.
Right, oh, I'm glad you are. And then there was also, what they think
Yeah.
is
Would be
not
okay,
responsible for the.
would be okay if we get a copy of it.
Yeah, please do, please do. I may have,
Back the original.
yeah, sure, please do.
I know we've had some compliance issues in terms of KDHE and some things environmental with two separate properties down there, but there's been no talk of eliminating anything or making anything.
Well, I know,
disappear, to my
but wait,
knowledge.
you need to clarify your language a little bit better, because that's what I took it.
Okay.
You know, and I'm not trying to be angry, I'm trying to say, it comes across as if you don't, you know, really think that this is an important thing, and I got the idea when I read it. And there is, it says you're not, I don't know, zoning laws or something, see, it's zoned, commercial, industrial, rural. And it was that way when I've had the building since 2014, that's 8 years. And another building is, Supreme Auto Shop has been in business for probably 25 to 30 years. And there's 11 shops that are on the list, but there's quite a few more that are there that you don't see.
This will go up that far, or not that I'm aware of. I know we've had some compliance issues with batteries being stored, car batteries being stored illegally, illegally parked, cars and equipment in right of ways, tires being set on fire.
Oh, wow, that's a bad one.
Yeah. That it's
Well, I
bad.
understand that, and I understand you're trying to do the right thing. And I know that on the property that I have, we had some cars put on our property illegally by the Third Street business that had cars there. They talked to my son 1 minute and they all of a sudden, because he didn't want them. And they showed up on our ground, on abandoned vehicles, no title, no nothing. And we don't have a lot of money to move them off. I mean, that's the problem. We are stuck. We're right next to a portable towing.
Okay.
That spot. But I mean, if we could get together as a group and talk about solutions, that would be wonderful. I mean, that to me is working together and trying to make the area look nice. But that's what I'm thinking. If you got yard art with cars, with pieces of it going along there, it can make it look very interesting and attractive. I forgot, I should give you my email if you want it. You want my email?
We can get a hold of you.
Yeah, I have a phone number.
Yeah.
I'm not into texting all this stuff. I have a phone, smartphone. I only use it if I need to change a flat tire, then I call somebody.
Excuse me? Yeah, go ahead and get the public comment.
Okay. Good morning, everyone. I'm Lindsay, I have law enforcement for the state hall.
Make sure you have all your originals.
and they had jail inmates and population report. So the numbers are down and pretty small as far as crime reports. We would need the report processing cases. And remember, interim director Walter was not available. Advocating due to surgery. He came late. Under the general agenda, board comments included the report on the director search process. I know everybody's really anxious to hear about that. Later in the day, Cheryl Linda Morris released a press release that we have received 14 applications, several of them in Kansas, that are going to be forwarded to the steering committee. She also explained the process and we'll be undertaking so that folks can understand.
I'm not saying that.
Hopefully we'll have 4 to 5. The applications will be forwarded to the steering committee, and then they will hopefully take about 4 to 5 applicants for our interview. And final applicants will be interviewed in public by the board. We plan to have the position filled by the end of the year.
Upstairs.
I'll be
right.
Tuesday and Wednesday, I reviewed various documents that will be presented at today's meeting. I've had various contracting and housekeeping completion. Slow process. Still working on daily and physical therapy and some progress, and it too is slow, which I'm very impatient. I did attend a Zoom meeting this morning with Chambers. Good morning, Manhattan, prior to our commission meeting with John. Details on that. Anyway, that's all.
Well, I Monday afternoon attended the law board. The commissioner folks started up well. Just a couple of things. Secondary on general agenda. We had a presentation on national certification hazardous materials technicians. That doesn't sound right off the tongue, but that's what it was. We also had the official approval by the law board. Remember, we did this here already, the Edward Byrne Memorial Assistance Grant. Discussion on the MOU from the Federal Bureau of Investigation's Joint Terrorism Task Force. That's another one, but that rolls off the tongue okay. Another discussion on the American Rescue Plan Act. I think we should probably take that discussion off because I don't think we're going to be county funds available for that. From the sound of it, doesn't sound like there's going to be that from the city side either. So, but who knows? We'll work through it when we get to the end of all that. Lastly, we did have an executive session on non-elected personnel finish as well. Let's see, Tuesday, although I wasn't able to attend in person, had something come up. I thought I'd go ahead and take a moment and update everybody on the Chamber of Commerce Board of Directors meeting, just via the agenda. I don't know specifically what was discussed, so it wasn't there, of course. They did give an update on the financials, whether membership accounts, that's typical every month. I had a discussion on the nominating committee. Still kind of a fluid discussion from last month, so probably the same this month. I'm assuming. Discussions on a tiered investment schedule. Can't tell you much about that. That was a new item. The discussions and recommendations from DEI. I'll follow up on that one. Discussions on the upcoming inter-region visit. That was discussed this morning during Good Morning Manhattan. And a Washington, D.C. flying priority schedule. Not sure what that is either. Afterwards, staff, as they do monthly, I would assume, give basically their updates and things they're working on. And they did have some sort of an executive session themselves. Yesterday afternoon, attended via Zoom the monthly meeting of the Riley County Rural Economic Development Advisory Board. Natalie Gordon, chair of the Travel Care Committee from the Chamber of Commerce, gave her presentation. I think most of us have probably seen that at least once, not twice. She answered some follow-up questions, kind of filled in some gaps a little bit of working on here recently. I discussed our August 8th broadband and internet meeting that we had here in Chamber. Followed up with some questions on that. Let everybody know that we sent letters of support. The Chamber has done so, as well as the Economic Development Committee themselves. So there's 3 letters there, and was told that up north there's going to be others, including Farm Bureau, and I'm going to meet with them next month to set that item. Saturday. Some general discussion items occurred afterwards. I'm also planning on following up with Gary Fike on a few items before next month's meeting. Anybody else has any suggestions or thoughts, send them Rich's way, you can send them over to me, and I'll include that in that discussion we have. Also last night, I attended the Ogden City Council meeting. It was a good dialogue from RDP of what they're working on and trying to accomplish to do there in the Ogden area. Several different things going on there. I'm kind of impressed, actually. I updated them on some things relevant to around the county side. They had an executive session. And got updates from their various from the council's various staff. And I missed most of the Good Morning Manhattan across the way trying to get my new truck re-registered. But what's good here in Miscellaneous City, Dr. David Wachowski from the university. Really impressed with the work that they're doing on several fronts, and update from Karen Estabrook on how to be an issue. So glad we're able to attend that this morning. And that's all I got.
Well, Tuesday evening, I attended the University Park board meeting with John Elron, Kevin Phil, and the plans we hold. It was well attended. They had a lot of questions about sewage plant problems and what the solutions, what the possible solutions are. John gave them a good outline of how it's come to this point, how it's come to this, and what the options are going forward. And John and Clancy both did a good job of addressing their concerns and questions. Like I said, they had a lot of questions on how things going along and concerns, but basically, the final result was, I said, how soon can we get started on the good like that? So, which is good. I mean, that's what has to be done, but I think they realize that now too. I think what the meeting was at, they get outdoor pavilion out there in their golf course in the area. It was cool enough. Some people even had a jacket on. 2 days after it was 102. It's not complaining. It was nice. Wednesday, I attended the North Central Kansas Regional Juvenile Detention Facility.
Nice, you got it.
We've been working for several months on revising the bylaws. They were a lot of things changed in how it ran, but we approved the final version yesterday. And the director discussed some policy been having with their trash service. And he was trying to cancel their contract and had battles with them over canceling it. That he switched to calories and said they're very pleased to pick it up every time they're supposed to. The other people works. Then all the board members have received a letter from the Erie County judge regarding concerns she had with the facility. We had all reviewed all the concerns. Most of the problems was that she didn't know how the facility operated, and we all looked through the stuff. I think everything's been taken care of, and the director had gotten in touch with her, gave her a tour of the facility, and a discussion, and he had written a letter explaining because some of the stuff she acted like it was just Erie County. Why does Erie County have reserve spots? It isn't. It's a group of 15 counties, and occasionally when they have overflow, they have had in Topeka or the Shawnee or Douglas County facilities. And it's not something he wants to do, but they charge more than what it costs him to keep them here. But some days there's higher numbers than others. So, and she had some other concerns about things that I think it moved out a letter going back to her. But we invited her to the next meeting. She still has concerns. Talk with her. I think we've got those things straightened out.
She's never attended an actual meeting before.
The director thinks she knows somebody's been in her ear about something. One of the concerns she was saying was, something about some of the kids have been had altercations of it. I put a whole teenagers in one room. In a building, occasionally there are, I mean, but they have had big outbreaks, but sometimes they do get. In population is more likely with that population, like I said, that age group, no matter what population it is.
Yeah.
Or feisty. That's what she ever had 20 years in her house. But we got everything straightened out. I think things will fall out. Ready for our business now.
First time we have Plaza reservation request for Monday, September 12th. The hours are 9 AM to 10:30 AM, which are business hours. They filled out a little bit more of this form than they should have because they marked the commission has approved opening with a mic, and so that's always a concern during business hours for the judges and the county attorney's office. So I wanted to point that out to the commission. If you do approve it, you may not want to approve that portion.
And maybe you do anything else like, drums or band or any other kind of thing.
See what I know.
Retirement ceremonies.
Yeah.
They're kind of, they can be kind of loud.
Yeah.
Well, our agency is allowed, speakers allowed.
Not during business hours, sure.
So. So you just keep me, add that comment,
Yeah, we
highlight that one back to them saying. There are four cases going on next door.
A lot. Hold on, next.
They start.
They usually do most of those. Right after PT, so give everybody a chance to move from one location to the other.
So we have a motion to approve without loudspeakers or motion not to approve.
I'll make a motion to approve the Plaza request reservation, but without loudspeakers.
I would second that.
Moving second to approve request without loudspeakers, all in favor? Aye.
Chairman sign, please.
Something.
So, yeah. Oh, there's two. Chairman, no. Next, I need a motion to approve access to property agreements, assessment for Conza Valley Rural Water District Number 1, Kansas Department of Health Environment Project Code, located at 320 Shenango Street, 800 Elliott Street.
Do we need to make separate
Yeah,
motions to
yeah,
that?
they're-
Okay. I'll go ahead and make a motion to approve the request for access to Conza Valley Rural Water District 1 for access on 320 Shenango Street and access on 800 Elliott Street.
I would second that.
Been moving second to approve the request for access, all in favor?
All three commissioners sign, please.
So.
Great. Commissioner need a motion on the equipment lease recommendations.
I've been moved to accept the proposals and annual rates as listed. White Star Machinery mini track loaders, 3 at 13,500 each. Also White Star Machinery rubber tire skid loader, 1 at 11,000.
Okay, I'll second that.
Been moved and seconded to accept the proposals for rental rates to White Star Machinery. All in favor? Aye.
Next, commissioners have tax roll corrections. These are all related to this one on the facility. Curious, state property. It should be.
I make a motion to approve the tax roll corrections as presented.
Been moved and seconded to approve tax corrections. All in favor? Aye.
Turn my place. Next, commissioners have allocated personnel action forms for Kayla May, new hire, Fraser 1, personal property. Sarah Darnell, a transfer as MCH home visitor in the health department. Christopher Schneider, a new hire, network systems administrator, ITGIS. Derek Dye, a new hire as the museum assistant, and then Michael Nat, on call juvenile intake, expiration of service, all 3 seconds.
We'll just point out to the board that we signed the access agreements for Conda Valley, looking correctly to add items. Or the tenant on. I forgot the wrong.
Yeah. Right on that. I think that's been almost more than that. I went since it's not working out. Been 9 months. Anybody have any changes to them? So pull them up.
Huh?
I was talking about the minutes. I didn't know if anybody had any changes. I think pull them up. I walked into that.
Any changes from any commissioner that's not, take motion.
I'll make a motion that we approve the minutes as written from the Riley County Board of Commissioners meeting August 15th, 2022.
Second that.
Been moved and seconded to approve the meeting, the minutes of August 15th meeting. All in favor? Aye.
Out of the tentative agenda, look, commissioners,
Good.
any items for next week's press conference? There's also commissioners certification, part of the certification page for the election that you already had your motion on previously. The rest of them will be, yeah, when we get the township officers, or a couple township officers that are tied or something, got those that are deciding if they're gonna accept the nomination to go on the general ballot. So we're waiting to hear from them.
Oh, elections just not gold anymore, are they?
Never have. It's more and more stuff, that's for sure.
So we need to sign these.
Please.
I don't thought maybe I was.
No, you get
I
that
thought
home.
maybe I got my own.
You
copy
get
there.
that home. And commissioners, it's time for Mr.
Good morning, Commissioners. Clancy Holman, Riley County Councilor. First item I have on the agenda is this extension of contract for temporary services. This is for, as the car indicates, for planning and development. There is as of today. It ends tomorrow. There's a temporary contract in place for the services that are described here because of the current lack of mobility of the current staff member of the office. And we need to extend that agreement, according to Amanda, to give a little more time to make sure that those temporary services are no longer needed. What this extension document does is it continues the current contract in all its terms and conditions and simply extends it from its expiration tomorrow for an additional 3 months. And it can be ended before then. It has the flexibility, current contract and the extension. If it turns out that the extension can end prior to that, we have every right to do that. Be glad to answer any questions.
I didn't have anything on this.
Do we have any, how much is this person being used? Do we have any number of hours?
Well, it's up to, I think it's 16 hours a week. Yeah, it's worked out well. Just talking with Amanda, I didn't get a lot of detail on it. Didn't anticipate that, but I'm sure she wouldn't be asking for it if it isn't something that's useful to them. And it's just to meet that mobility need to get out and do some things that currently can't be done otherwise.
Yeah, I was just wondering how it's going.
Sure. No, I think I was hearing good things about it. She's the one that came to me and said, we need to extend it. And she knows that it could last another 3 months. It could last, 6 weeks, 2 weeks, who knows? Just have to see how it goes. All right, I'll move on to the other item. What I've got is,
Making a motion on.
oh, sorry.
Sorry.
No, just jumping ahead.
I would make a motion to extend contract for temporary services and planning division.
I'll second.
And second, to approve the extension of the contract. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you very much.
Chairman, sign please.
Move on to the next item. This is the board had requested it. Well, first of all, let me back up. There's been some discussion recently about an existing agreement involving the provision of emergency services outside the boundaries of Riley County, particularly into Pottawatomie County. And there is, and the board had requested an opportunity to review that existing agreement. That's what you have before you today. It's important to understand what it actually does so you can tell what it does not cover. It is only an agreement involving the appointment of Riley County Emergency Management as the disaster agency for the city of Manhattan. That's what it amounts to. And as the CAR also indicates, one advantage to that, under the statutory scheme, these are all part of the State Emergency Management Act, the Kansas Emergency Management Act. And as far back as 1996, and currently this applies as well, if counties do not do this, it begins with the premise that all counties have to have an emergency management department, basically, across the state. And those that don't, if they can't agree to have some kind of, to form such a thing, the state can order the formation of it. And the state can order the formation of an interjurisdictional agency covering more than one county. And so one way of looking at it, it was, I suppose, kind of far thinking that back in 1996, they avoided that, and the local governing bodies of Riley County and City of Manhattan agreed that Riley County Emergency Management would be that disaster agency designated by agreement, rather than have this, in my view, run the risk of having the state solve the issue. And I don't know if that's what generated those discussions or if they simply were aware of it. I don't know the background on it, but you can tell from the way the statute has read currently and as it read back then, that probably was a motivating factor. What this does not do is talk about the scope of those services. It just simply says that they can, and I think it's primarily value for planning purposes, more than anything in conversations with your emergency management director, and I'll leave that up to him to talk a little bit about. And I'll talk a little bit more about the agreement.
Morning, Commissioners. Russell Stuckey, Emergency Management. Yeah, it doesn't have anything to do with like RCPD, for example. It just has to do with some planning and then disaster response to the big flood, the big tornado, the big ice storm, and doing evacuation notices and things like that for the citizens, so that half the city is not getting one message and the other half's getting another message. But it doesn't have any bearing on day-to-day emergency response, as far as if we were to go mutual aid somebody on a fire, or our CPD does something, or the ambulance goes and mutual aids on an ambulance call. It doesn't really have any bearing on that. It's just for the big disaster and a little bit of planning here and there.
And I would follow up with that by saying it's not a permanent agreement. It provides it can be canceled. It's pretty clear about how that's done. It's kind of interesting the way it describes the cancellation ability, because on the one hand, it seems to tie it to the 4-year term and giving notice that if either entity wants to cancel it, they can get out 30 days before the anniversary date, which is in April each year. But then it follows that up immediately with a paragraph that says, but either party can get out of it at any time with 30 days notice. So I don't know how that ended up in there. It sounds like something I might write by accident, but either way, there's the ability to terminate it if either party wanted to get out of it, any of those parties.
I see it also says, this agreement doesn't contemplate or require parties to provide any financial obligations. So this is a regional agreement only on disasters. So we pay for, say there's a disaster in BOCC County. It would be a financial burden possibly on us.
No, I don't see how. Not under this agreement.
Is it
Not under the
all
terms
in
of-
Wabunsee County?
Not that I'm aware of. It's city, Pottawatomie County and Riley County. And it's actually an interlocal agreement signed off on by the Attorney General. So to modify it, not to cancel it, the cancellation stuff is available. But to change the terms, it would have to be done through you'd have to be an interlocal agreement again that modifies it. It couldn't conflict with any way you were changing it, couldn't conflict with what those terms are right now. The only option would be to cancel if you wanted to.
It's not with all Pot County, it's just the city of Manhattan properties.
Correct. Exactly. Good point. That portion of, because it says any portion of the city of Manhattan, clearly that's going to include island annexations and straight annexations.
And one other thing I thought,
Is that going to come up considering that there is one on the table currently?
Could come up, yeah.
sure,
That's part of the city.
one thing that I do intend to explore that I don't think has been explored before is if this agreement, and I think it will, makes some grant opportunities or additional grant funds available to us that haven't been explored in the past. And so that is one of my intents to explore.
Is this the only agreement that we have going right now on this, on services, that kind of thing? No.
Well, it's not the only agreement on services. We've got an agreement right now that involves RCPD and services in that portion of just across the boundary is what it specifically was generated for. I can, if the board wants to, I can bring that back so you can take a look at it.
I can see that.
Fair enough. Any other questions?
I know there's most of you have concerns about this, because they keep adding. Manhattan keeps adding the pieces of Pot County to this agreement, basically.
I don't think it's a huge deal yet, especially I would like it another year to explore those grant opportunities. And if none of those come to fruition, then, maybe it would be revisited a year from now. And
But it sounds like to me, we've got a smaller window in that for cancellation if it's in April, correct?
I don't think it really is in April because I would still rely on the secondary provision that says 30 days notice.
Can we make sure? Which
I think
it
it-
actually is.
No, it says what it says. And I'm saying
It does say both. So which one is it?
it's both. And that means you could choose either one.
Okay,
Really?
I'm not trying to be cute here. I mean, either commitment is valid because the parties agreed to it. So,
Well, that might be, if we rewrite this agreement, we take out one of them.
you can, unless you want the flexibility to get out either way. Doesn't matter. Yeah, it's a little odd, but it's the kind of thing that would skate, particularly, I don't know how detailed the discussions were. They may have been so glad to finally get to a point that they could sign something that said sign it.
It's when they still sign it.
I don't know how often that happens. Maybe it did in 1996.
Not as concerned about, I mean, the concern, but you want to, I know you've talked about other options you think are available to
Mhm.
help fund the extra.
Right.
the people, so give that a while to decide.
Right.
let's maybe try to come back and revisit this in the spring because of its emergency management. You know, that's comes up just right before severe storm season, fire season, so on and so forth. Might be a good time to re-examine it.
Sure.
And kind of
Gonna help me remember that. Okay. Maybe the two of us will actually remember. There you go. One of us will. All right. And the primary thing too is it's not a commitment of resources other than planning. So, just so you're aware. All right. Thank you. That's all I have on this. And I will put on the other existing agreement involving RCPD.
Commissioner Bob Isaac on the rezone at 9:50. I did. Cindy pulled a little information, all that you could find on the chemical issue in Fairmont that I talked about, the dry cleaning place. So just you guys were curious about it, this is what little information we could find. There's not a lot out there.
Thank you for doing
That page is, the others are better.
I thought mine was going back. Oh, boy, we got problems. Oh, okay.
For mine, I think I'll do all of that.
Thanks.
That counts as the letter that planting.
Yeah, there's a copier laid out on the midway through piles. Now it has paper. But I'm gonna put these together and make sure you got it complete.
Yes, correct.
You know, there's paper in that back cabinet over there.
Is there?
Session room.
It wasn't anywhere I was looking.
Drawer down below.
Down the road. So.
Okay. I can only speak for where I live. No, it's not all my good options. She was surprised that it didn't. Craig and I were talking to there. And she apparently already had a conversation with him. And counts everything. You can't really get back to her individually. They get back to her letter does that. She had a conversation last night with different. We're getting sorted out. So she gets a sure. No problem.
Register.
Man.
But same question, really, you know, not, well, that's was part. Do we regulate by the ordinance along the highway?
Yes.
The ones that got put up by a storm and haven't been repaired, anything we can do about that? One of had there's another one place center halfway over, and one's big.
Yeah.
And even saying that, if this guy's so that double sign, so I think that's a good regulation. Just can't hurt, so it's in my door. And if that damage can't wait, I don't think it's good. Taking care of it. Now, there's lots of this damage. I can all do will be, you get something.
Yeah.
They are grandfathered in. They are.
There's still the keep hanging on, there's still a couple. And the old ones, because now I guess it's just painted. And it's strung on the fence. Then we would think. Really?
And here. Good catch though, Neil.
Somebody's just sort of, they leaked out.
Yeah.
So he has a couple on.
We are all members.
Fancies. Fancy. Is this your bed?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Very nice. I gave him my call and told him. He didn't call back. He would. She had a conversation. And just now. Change a little bit of which I told them, I needed this. They're gonna be followed. I know you got the freedom, I know you should as counsel.
Would you say 11 places? Where is actually the house?
That's what I think.
She said, she's thinking.
I think she's thinking of some kind of domino effect.
It applies to all of them.
But I just don't know that's fast. So we'll be there. Yeah, she gave me that. I'm not aware that we were. I think she anticipated. Yes, so no, that was because it's right. It begins with that letter from the park.
And then basically. Part of all the curves.
Under certain part, which means
Hey, sir.
Good, Rich. How are you?
Like the cooler morning, better.
Yeah.
It's great because they brought in all the people that were on, they were part of the solution.
Yeah. I had the same thing on the left side 2 years ago. Yeah.
One of these places.
MRI and things like that. So I can stretch it out all year long. It's part of explanation of what I need.
I'll get you a click on this. One of the packets.
Okay, yeah, thank you.
I think they did make all the.
Our way.
Good morning, folks. Bob Isaac, County Planner.
Representing Skyward Crossings LLC, Neil Horton has made application with Riley County Planning and Development requesting approval to rezone a tract of land from AG Agricultural District to C2 Highway Business and plat the tract together with Lot 1 of Landmark Edition into 2 lots. The subject site is generally located approximately 2,800 feet south and west of the intersection of Eureka Drive and Skyway Drive on the north side of Skyway Drive. The subject site consists of Lot 1 of Landmark Edition and a 5.33 acre contiguous unplatted tract situated directly north of that lot. Lot 1 of Landmark Edition was platted June 2006, and only a portion of that lot was rezoned from agricultural to commercial for the purposes of constructing several individual storage units. The 5.3 acre unplatted tract was not included with the plat at that time, presumably due to the uncertainty of the exact location of the realigned K-18 highway, and that the tract was entirely within the designated floodway at that time. Presently, the applicant wishes to plat and replat Lot 1 of Landmark Edition together with that aforementioned unplatted tract north of said lot into 2 lots, reconfiguring and relocating the common lot line between the 2 lots. Also, the applicant also wishes to rezone those portions of the subject site zoned county zoning designation AG Agricultural District to C2 Highway Business in order to match the platted lot. Although the subject site will be served by city water and sewer, there is not a request for annexation at this time. Let's see here, the majority of the proposed Lot 1 has been zoned AG Agricultural District, shown here in gray, since at least 1974. In May 2006, proposed Lot 2 and the south portion of proposed Lot 1 was rezoned from AG Agricultural District to C4 Highway Business, as mentioned, for the placement of the individual storage units. There are no special uses, variances, or other conditional uses associated with the subject property. The entire property is located within the Eureka Valley K-18 Corridor Overlay District and is subject to the requirements of Section 4.22 Corridor Overlay Districts of the Riley County Land Development Regulations. Also, the entire property lies within the Airport Overlay District as of January 1st of this year. Development of the site will be subject to the use limitations, specifically height, as per Section 4.21 Airport Overlay District of the Riley County Land Development Regulations. The applicant wishes to rezone that portion of the subject property, Zone AG, to C2 Highway Business, matching the zoning designation of the portion of the site currently zoned C2 Highway Business. All of the southern portion of the subject site, or existing Lot 1 Landmark Edition, lies within the 0.2 annual chance floodplain shown here in the blue hatch pattern. At this time, the 0.2 annual chance floodplain is not included as part of the regulatory floodplain, as per the Riley County Land Development Regulations. The north unplatted portion of the subject property, shown in the red hatch pattern, lies entirely within the 1% annual chance floodplain. However, efforts are underway by the applicant to raise the site with fill and remove a portion of the site from the floodplain and apply for to FEMA for approval for a letter of map revision, fill, or LOMAR F. Riley County Fire District Number 1 will serve the site. The nearest county fire station is the Ogden Fire Station, located at 500 East Riley Avenue. However, City of Manhattan Fire Station 4 is located within 2 miles of the subject site. According to the most recent Flint Hills Joint Land Use Study, the subject site is located within the land use planning zone, shown here in blue, but falls outside the boundary of the moderate complaint risk zone. Officials from Fort Riley have reviewed the request and reported that, according to Fort Riley's Installation Operational Noise Management Plan of 2015, noise-sensitive land uses such as housing, schools, medical facilities, churches, etc., are generally acceptable within the LUPZ. However, communities and individuals often have different views regarding what level of noise is acceptable or desirable. And of course, this is going to be slated for commercial development. There's a chance that there could be some noise sensitive uses permitted or even occur in the commercial zoning district, but it's kind of unlikely. The entire property is located within the airport overlay district. Part of the regulatory changes established with the adoption of the new land development regulations was the elimination of the N1 noise or airport noise hazard zone in favor of the utilizing the more advanced airport overlay district that the city of Manhattan uses. The magenta line outlining the blue conical area depicts the boundary of the AOD with the subject property well within it. And you can kind of see here, it's in that gray area here. Development of the property will be subject to those requirements in section 4.21 Airport Overlay District of the Plaza County and Development Regulations. And this is showing where the property is also located within the Eureka Valley Highway K-18 Overlay District. The lots will be subject to the development standards of section 4.22 corridor overlay districts of the Raleigh County Land Development Regulations. Okay, this is the plat, replat. The preliminary plat shows the portion south here, the remainder of what was once lot 1 of landmark edition, and of course the unplatted tract there. This right here is the actual property line. This is being reestablished here. That this cross here is the reason why that is still there, and you'll see that in the map is because it's a section line, and the appraiser's office will want to keep it there. So it adds a little bit of confusion, but they're trying to get that straightened up here now. Let's see further. Only a portion of the original platted lot of landmark edition was rezoned commercial, as mentioned earlier. The diagonal line is the actual lot line between the platted lot and the unplatted tract north of it. So there's not actually there's two tracts, a portion of a lot and a tract. There's not 3. It appears that there's 3 there, but there's not. It's being proposed that all parts of the subject property, so in agriculture, will be rezoned to county zoning designation C2 highway business, so it all matches. Access to each of the lots was discussed with the county engineer. As per his recommendation, the plat restricts access points along Skyway Drive for each of the lots. The county engineer also waived the requirement for a traffic impact study or stormwater drainage study at this time, but required a note to be put on the plat that required such studies be required at the time of development. To cater to, the studies to the attributes of any proposed developments, rather than just a ballpark. We'll see what happens. There is not a request or a requirement for the property to be annexed at this time. And this is the final plat of the property with no changes from the preliminary, showing the reestablished property line here, not here. Excuse me. The request was reviewed with the goals and objectives of the future land use of map of the 2013 Eureka Valley Highway K-18 corridor plan. Although the future land use map specifically projects the southern portion of the site for agricultural use, this portion of the subject site was platted and rezoned to commercial in June of 2006. The site was developed by Landmark Storage and used for individual storage units until it was certain how K-18 highway was being realigned. Landmark Storage eventually moved their facility to an alternate location, north actually, when the realignment project began, but the remainder of Lot 1 Landmark Edition remained platted and zoned for commercial use. It is unknown why this wasn't accounted for in the creation of the future land use map for the plan. Furthermore, through extensive stormwater drainage improvements, culverts, bridges, drainage canals as part of the K-18 realignment project, the floodway was relocated to the channel situated north of the subject site. Thus, the future land use map is no longer accurate. It depicts that area being within the floodway. Although the subject site is no longer in that designated floodway, it still is within the 1% annual chance floodplain, as mentioned. The request was also reviewed with the 2015 Manhattan Urban Area Comprehensive Plan. The subject site is located within the Southwest Planning Area. shown here. Similar to the future land use map found in the Eureka Valley KD or Highway K18 corridor plan, the future land use map in the Manhattan urban area plan projects the entire site for agricultural use, with the northern portion of the site as agricultural with flood hazard area. However, along with the receiving a permit from the Department of Water Resources, the applicant received a floodplain development permit from Riley County Planning and Development and is in the process of elevating the property with fill. And the applicant intends on re-engineering the site with the goal of receiving a letter of map revision for fill from the state of Kansas, while taking the majority of the proposed lot 1 out of the 1% annual chance floodplain. Although not consistent with the future land use maps of the plans, staff contends the request to plat and rezone the subject property is consistent with the goals and objectives of the plans. On August 1st, the Manhattan Urban Area Planning Board forwarded a recommendation to the Board of County Commissioners to approve the request to rezone an unplatted tract of land from AG Agricultural District to C2 Highway Business, as it was found to be in general conformance with the Eureka Valley K18 Highway Corridor Plan and the Manhattan Urban Area Comprehensive Plan. The board also approved the concurrent plat of Skyway Crossing Addition, along with the deviation request for from section 26-5C-4 pedestrian and bicycles of the Manhattan Development Code, as it was determined that they met the review factors in subsection 26-9C-3D of the Manhattan Development Code and the Riley County Sanitary Code. Staff recommends that the Board of County Commissioners approve the request to rezone the subject property from AG Agricultural District to C2 Highway Business, as it was found to be in general conformance with the comprehensive plan. Staff also recommends that the Board of County Commissioners acknowledge the approved final plat of Skyway Crossing Addition, accepting any easements, rights of way, or licenses as shown to be dedicated on the final plat. And that's all I have. If you have any questions, I'd be glad to field those. The applicant is here as well. If you have any questions for him.
Straightforward. The idea of some commercial development going on in the area. With that said, I guess I'll go ahead and move to sign resolution 0.2, approving the request to rezone the unplatted tract from AG Agricultural District to C-2 Highway Business.
I would second that.
Been moved and seconded to sign resolution 1.8.2 approving the request to rezone from AG to C2. All in favor? Aye.
So make a motion to move to approve the same resolution 0.1822, acknowledging the approved final plat of Skyway Crossing Addition, and accepting easements, right of ways, or licenses as shown to be dedicated on the final plat.
I would second that.
Moved and seconded to approve resolution for approval of the final plat. All in favor? Aye.
Here's both resolutions, commissioners. All three signed, please.
And we have a Mylar here for your signature.
Good, how are you?
Good.
Busy morning.
Well, they're always different.
What is it? Is this one of the signature or?
Yeah.
Catherine, it's good to see you back physically. I don't think I've been, made a report since, you've come back.
I think it was on Zoom.
Yeah, you were on Zoom, but I mean, live in person, yeah.
I wish I prefer over Zoom.
Yeah, already, this we're already using.
No, they went there.
So.
I've missed one somewhere. Prosperity.
You weren't running any races, were you? This,
I'm bored of it. I'll be ready to go and whether.
Yeah.
Good. And they've already proven that you will come back to the now.
We need to let everybody know that Director Mueller will be able to join us this morning. He has something coming up for his 10:15.
We're gonna go forward with this increase right now anyway.
Oh, Gary.
Good.
Good.
think so.
Fantastic, as a matter of fact, as long as it doesn't get to be 95 or 100 degrees.
Well.
Helps out.
Yeah, it's been gorgeous.
Yeah, I can sure you, yeah, morning's been great. Sure get some more rain, but I think there's a chance late tonight.
Derek said your laptop's now.
Big brother, all smart.
Yeah.
So tell me why smartphones are so smart. When I am on my phone and looking for directions and I type into the deal, I start typing in Westmoreland and it goes to Westmoreland, Pennsylvania. If it's so smart and it knows where I'm at, why would it assume I want to know where Westmoreland, Pennsylvania is?
Because it's making you think that psychological and that's what it's.
Oh, yeah.
I see.
It's boring. And this is how the war with the machine began.
I do those things and I think it's things, knows where I'm at. Why I want to go in Westmoreland, Pennsylvania, I do not know.
Always talking
All right. Oh, good one.
for Gary Commissioners.
Yeah, it's good.
Yeah, you guys get this good for 10 off.
3 miles. Very good.
Environmental health officer.
I go home and exercise.
And,
It's okay.
well,
They'll put it in the straight down.
I know it was
Yeah.
Gather.
Oh, we went.
Yeah.
Okay. It's safe up there.
Do that. Figure out how to. You know, when it's sealed, like, I want to bid, fodder, can't.
Good morning, Commissioners. Thank you for having me here and going to make a presentation about the Riley County Fair. As you know, I've thrown in some pictures of dozens of images that we've captured, but I just wanted to share a few with you here before I got into my visit. The fair is, at least from the 4-H end, all about our youth, and they had a great fair, and the fair overall was very, very good. And I see that my friend John Ellerman is in here, so I wanted to give a shout out to Public Works, especially John Harkness, Scott Cassidy, Jeff Martinez, Steve Schneider, and others, some seasonal help who worked hard to make it successful. They do a lot of physical labor and do a lot of overtime to help make the fair go as smoothly as it does, and we couldn't do it without them. And our parents, our supporters, our volunteers, our fair board members, everybody that's involved with that, and to my staff who spends a lot of hours, of course, ahead of time and afterwards, not just during the fair, which are long days, but getting all of the stuff put together, particularly with the livestock sale cleanup and trying to get everything back down to the dungeon basement over there to store. So they've worked really, really hard this year. And I think we had a great fair in 2022. We did have a new carnival this year, which I think you were aware of and I'd made you aware of. We Entertainment out of Dodge City provided the carnival this year. We were very happy with them. A lot of the rides were the same. There were a few different, but a lot of them were the same. We also had 3 brand new food vendors this year. I had the comment made to me more than once that looks like your number of vendors is down. Actually, it was not. But it looks like for some reason it looked like it, but our numbers were just nearly the same. But we did get some new folks and they want to come back next year. They had a really great fair, and Bob Colander, who is one of our longtime food vendors, had a fantastic one. And of course, we had Vista there and several others as usual. Call Valley Rodeo had a record crowd last year, and this year almost reached those same numbers. So they had a successful weekend as well. The weather overall was pretty decent. It was a few hot days, but it wasn't terrible. We had a new tent provider that put up the tent north of Pottorff Hall and north of Wreath Hall. And the tent company we had been using out of Topeka closed its doors, so we had to find a new one, and price was the same. So we were able to do that, and it worked well. We did have lots of electrical work, which at the end of my presentation, I guess I'm going to make the pitch for the CIP dollars for that work done. What's that?
Shocking.
Shocking. Yes. We didn't want anyone to get
I'm
shocked.
sure all day.
We had more portable restrooms used this year just because the carnival wanted some more up by where they were camping up on the east edge of the grounds up along Wreath Avenue. And then the livestock auction garnered 72,000 plus this year. Actually, it was 75,000. I found out that we had another $3,000 in additional donations after the fact. So we had great support for that this year. The exhibit summary, we were down just a little bit from last year, but 2020 was the year of COVID, so we had that big dip, but it's been fairly flat. We need to grow that a little bit. Our 4-H enrollment numbers are still very, very good, but I think people are picking and choosing a little bit more about what they do. So we were down a little bit on the total ribbon count this year. And this is just a breakdown by project. Photography has always been our number one. 319 exhibits there, followed by visual arts and horse. We don't have 186 horses show up, but they do have a lot of classes to enter. So they have horsemanship and Western pleasure and halter and those kinds of things. So they get entered several times. Garden, food, swine. Miscellaneous includes posters and exhibits such as that. And then flowers and beef. And then there's probably 15 more with just fewer entries. But we had a really good turnout by those folks in those. We didn't necessarily go up in any one particular project by leaps and bounds, but that some were up slightly. Open class. So this year we had the largest number of open class exhibits in 4 years, 348. With the largest being arts and handiwork, and then photography at 126. I never got a chance to look at the open class photography, but this year it was bridges of not Madison County, but of Riley County. So that was the theme for the open class photography this year. And Commissioner Ford got to judge, I think, the cinnamon roll contest. We had 11 entries there, and I got to taste some of the leftovers. So it was pretty good.
Yeah. That was pretty cool. 9-year-old girl won. Her mom also entered the contest, didn't win.
Did you know that ahead of time?
We did not. We were told that her mom wanted to teach her a certain recipe and she didn't want to do that. So she did it her own way and it ended up winning.
Yeah.
I'm sure she's probably bragging, but
Yeah.
I'm sure she'll be baking cinnamon rolls for Thanksgiving and other.
Especially if I still grounded.
Yeah. Probably. Good for her on the first half, not so bad.
Yeah. Some more numbers on the Call Valley Rodeo attendance. It was 6,385 people attending, which was just down slightly from last year. But if you look at by evening, usually Saturday night is the biggest night. It was again this year, but not by a whole lot. I thought the crowd actually looked larger than last year when I just took a glance over there, but Saturday night had 2,436 attendees. Yes, it was hot. It was very hot that night. Thursday night was Military Appreciation Night, which the chamber puts on, and we had a good crowd for that and good participation. And there was over, well, my number's out of there. Not sure how to move that down. I guess I can make that a little bit smaller. Get the total number of military folks that were there. 600, over 600, just over 600 military, active military, and veterans attended this year. So I thought that was a great turnout.
I would point out that some of our funds to the chamber funds this particular event. So.
And they have a picnic for them in the entertainment tent. Robbins Motors also was a sponsor and sponsored the nightly entertainment for that. So that was good and much appreciated. Go ahead, John. I'm sorry.
I was just going to say, just got a new car from there over the weekend, and my sales rep was telling me his rodeo experiences.
Oh, okay.
There's correlations apparently.
Cool. Carnival receipts this year were over $140,000. I don't have the official figure on that, but they gave me that as a preliminary figure. They take out sales tax and insurance before they give the 4-H program 25% of their receipts. So we got about $30,000 that we used for 4-H scholarships and so forth. So it was a good carnival. It was a little bit higher than that last year, but not a lot. And people are wanting to come. Other carnivals, Pride of Texas, who was the supplemental carnival provider last year to Danny Ottaway, because he couldn't find it. They've been calling me and trying to book our fair as well. But I think we're going to stay with We Entertainment. Probably we signed a 3-year contract with them. So as far as the future goes, the CIP dollars, which I guess we'll cover next. I think Daryl was putting that on here. We've got over $91,000 in CIP dollars from several years worth of vendor fees. So we don't keep those. Those go into a CIP fund for the fairgrounds. So we had to have the electrical pedestals in the commercial vendor area repaired. There were several of them that were not working. Several did not have GFCI outlets on them, and that was not up to code. So those had to be fixed, repaired, make sure we don't get a shock hazard. We've had some other electrical issues that we had them take care of as well. So that's it. The $91,000 does not include taking out the 3,000 some odd that we'll cover here in a minute. But then we would have garnered another $6,000, $7,000, $8,000. So there should be close to $100,000 in there. And I guess I'd like to begin that thought process. And there's a lot of different things going on here because we're being pulled a lot of different ways. But those monies, there's some other improvements to the fairgrounds that would be nice to have. For instance, air conditioning units for the bathrooms, which get very, very warm, and or looking at more permanent structures if we're going to continue to have the fair where it's located. And so I guess I'll answer any questions or any thoughts on the fair here now that you might have. No? Okay.
Well,
It went very well. Some years there are just everything explodes, right? But if you have enough preparation, I give a lot of credit to Parks Department guys working so hard. They really did a nice job this year. And when you get Scott checking the outlets and checking the water and all that stuff, we don't have a last minute thing. One issue we do kind of have out there is probably we water the tops of the livestock barns so that they stay cool and then have the shades, and it's worked tremendously well. But off of Casement, the downspout comes down that hill and down into the vendor area, and we have a tile line that we take out and keep moving around because otherwise you get a mud puddle right in front of every booth, and that's an issue that needs to be resolved one way or another. Either we quit watering the roof or we find another place for that water to go so we don't end up with a mud puddle down there along the sidewalk. That's a bit of an issue. So I filled out this CIP project funding authorization form, which that was a first for me. I had never requested any money. I didn't really know how much was in there. And then Daryl educated me yesterday on how to find out how much money was in there. So the cost of the project was, I hope that's on here, $3,200 and some odd dollars. $485.20. And so that is, I'm guessing that you have to approve that as Board of County Commissioners to pay that directly to Economy Electric, who did the work for us. So
Yeah, the activation form, make those funds available.
yeah, okay.
But they have money in their reserve, and it's reserved just specifically for what they have. Sets that bottom box of reserves, on its reports you get presented each month. They're one of the reserves. It's down there. It's their money just for them, where the general CIP funds are for everybody. They're for just specifically for them. It comes from them, and they're the ones that get to use it. Absolutely. So I just need a motion on that CIP activation. When you're ready.
I would make a motion to approve the CIP funding authorization form. Or for the extension.
Second. We moved in second to approve the CIP request. On favor?
Chairman Sines.
Thank you.
Thanks, Gary. Appreciate it.
Anything else? I will mention we had a Riley County Rural Economic Development meeting board meeting yesterday. Commissioner Ford joined by Zoom, and we had talked by Natalie Gordon about the task force for child care for the Manhattan Chamber of Commerce. So that was also very productive, and hopefully we'll be able to help her move that along in that direction. So thank you very much for your time. Appreciate you. Thank you.
Next commissioners, Kurt Waldrop is not able to make it today, so now we have to really get to 10:30.
Okay. Get with me when you can, Gary.
Well, sir, do you have any time this afternoon or tomorrow, or next week, would you rather?
Let me look at next week. Okay. I think it's a little bit more open.
Okay.
Probably
Sounds
not.
good. I'll send you an email.
Okay,
Good.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Question. You, I thought, maybe you used to go back to your opinion listed on the minutes there that showed that. We don't anymore.
For quite a while, ever since kind of COVID, because people just walk in, we used to have a sign up. We used to go around, I still have a sheet here, what we're gonna do, and pass it around. Well, with COVID, trying to do less contact, so quit doing that. So that's when I actually quit doing that, because I pass that around, and during meetings, it's kind of disruptive if I don't know who it is. And so if they're a speaker, I try to catch their name, and put them in there. And so
Okay.
yeah, with COVID and stuff, I've tried to not pass that around anymore. And
That's it. It's like it came in, she said, where do I sign up?
yeah, she said something. I got her name on here. It helps. I know a lot of people that come, and I've known Dale for a long, Rondi for a long time. And so, yeah, that's why it's changed. COVID didn't change. Yeah, I had no idea what she was talking about when she started out. I was just complaining on them.
She said compliance, the first thing I thought was University Park, and that was a long way to get there.
Yeah.
I'm actually thinking this is last week we got college football on Saturday. Oh. Slate of games on the 27th, yeah. I was gonna be 2 weekends away from K-State. I'm excited to see what we got there, that's for sure. I'm very excited. Morning, how are you?
Good, how are you?
Good. Morning, Julie.
Good morning.
But make a motion that we recess with the Board of County Commission and we can do them the Board of County Health.
I'll second that.
And moving second, adjourn as county commission and reconvene as more help, all in favor?
Aye.
Right, good morning. Here with my monthly update, and I'm going to start as usual with the budget to actual for July, which Shelley has provided in your packets. These are the explanations for the highlighted areas under revenues and expenses. Really doesn't look much different from how it's looked in previous months. With revenues, it's usually due to timing of payments. A lot of our grants are reimbursement based. And with expenses, it's due to, again, either the same reason or because we did not budget for like our contact tracers, for instance. Any questions on the budget as it is? Okay. All right, moving on to some new staff. We are excited to welcome Sarah Darnell to our MCH team. She will be starting with us on September 8th. She is our new MCH home visitor. And as you probably know, she's coming over from Community Corrections. We're also excited to welcome Falastina Care to our team. She will not be a county employee. She's an Insight Global employee. This is the company that's contracted with KDHE so that we're able to keep on some of our contact tracers, not to do the contact tracing as they no longer do, but to help with some what we call COVID cleanup, really helping with our reports and things like that. So Falastina is actually going to be our tester. She'll be administering PCR tests once she arrives on August 31st. So we are putting together a plan now for the community to be able to offer testing for the community again. And these employees are with us through May of 2023. And then just a few program updates. I don't have anything for childcare licensing because Heather Ritchie, the supervisor, will be presenting a little bit later. As for Raising Riley, Jan had a lot of updates for me here. They did host a provider appreciation dinner on Thursday, July 7th for all Raising Riley partnering family childcare providers. It included a Mexican fiesta, open conversation, and school supply gift certificates for each provider. They had 7 providers in attendance. They also co-sponsored an event at the zoo on Saturday, July 30th. They handed out 70 children's books about zoo animals and insects, and they had 16 families sign up to receive information about upcoming family engagement events. The Fall Circle of Security parenting classes kicked off on Monday, August 1st. This session, they had 7 parents attending and provided childcare for 2 children. The Circle of Security Parenting Plan is an 8-week intensive program that has been very well received and participation continues to grow. Raising Riley staff attended Everybody Counts on Saturday, August 6th. They were able to connect with 68 adults and 92 children. They also received and are processing 21 new applications for scholarship assistance for childcare. Jan said they're seeing a lot more families that are having trouble finding childcare providers with openings, which is not a new problem. We were aware of that. They began partnering with the Early Childhood Program at USD 384 Blue Valley in Randolph. So they'll be offering Raising Riley's child care scholarships to qualifying children in their preschool. They hosted story time during Laundry Love at Sudger Duds on Tuesday, August 9th. They had 6 children and 12 adults. That will be a monthly event from here on out. Danae Jones, our literacy facilitator, presented a literacy training for providers and families on Thursday, August 11th. Zoophonics information and kits were distributed to 19 participants. And one of Raising Riley's goals for the strategic plan this year is to increase the number of parents that report themselves as health literate. Beth Mills and Danae Jones completed the Head Start Train the Trainer program for a parent health literacy program that's based on the book, What Do I Do When My Child Gets Sick? So this implementation plan is to present this information to parents through the book club program that already exists. The first date will be announced soon, and this is open to the community. As far as clinic updates, they've been offering back to school immunizations, participating in local outreach events like Everybody Counts and USD 383 Central Enrollment. And they're scheduling flu and COVID immunization outreach events for this upcoming fall. While immunization numbers were sparse for outreach events this year, the health clinic was able to offer immunization review and counseling to many community members. So Jacob did mention future endeavors may be at highest yield if they focus on immunization review and counseling to encourage community members to use walk-in services at the health clinic. The clinic reports 288 encounters in June, 616 encounters in July, and 340 encounters in August so far, up to the 15th. And their site visit went well. As far as WIC updates, as you're aware, this is World Breastfeeding Month. So they're celebrating with awareness, social media campaigns, lots of emails out to their clients, and they're also able to give away breastfeeding supplies to WIC moms. Their caseload is going strong. They are at 110% of the assigned caseload that the state gives them. They have to be at 97%, so they're well above that. And they are doing a lot of outreach, as many of our other programs are as well. At ELC enrollment, they've been to the Pot County Parade, Fort Riley events, and many summer meal programs that they've attended as well. And for MCH, Breva has provided some information on the community baby shower that they held a few months ago. As you're aware, that was a very successful event. So we are trying to make that an annual event from here on out every June. They did have 161 people that stopped by, with 86 of those being expecting moms. Those 86 moms completed a safe sleep pre-test and post-test, and they also attended a safe sleep presentation. This is the data from the Safe Sleep pre and post test, and it's made available from the Safe Kids Network. It showed that 86 participants completed both pre and post and demonstrated a statistically significant increase in their intention to follow safe sleep practices related to placing baby on their back to sleep, and only a safe sleep location, and only including safe items such as firm mattresses, fitted sheets, and wearable blankets. All participants plan to discuss safe sleep with others after attending the community baby shower. Most reported being more confident regarding safe sleep practices, avoiding secondhand smoke, and breastfeeding. And 99% of participants reported being very satisfied with this event. So we believe this was an excellent way to network and show community support. So again, we'll plan on doing this annually in June every year. And we are currently having a friendly competition at the health department. It's called the Blessing Box Challenge. We have a blessing box right outside of the FCRC building in the Circle Drive. We have a lot of trouble keeping it filled. So that means it's frequently visited, which is a good thing. But MCH came up with this great idea to have a blessing box challenge for all health department staff. So it started at the beginning of August. It's a friendly competition. Each week through the month of August, teams bring items for the blessing box, and on Friday of every week, we count the items, and whoever has the most gets a breakfast the next Monday. So far, we've had about 500 items that have been donated to the blessing box, and we're hoping to double that by the end of the month. So hopefully it's successful in keeping items in the blessing box for several months. And now bed bugs and lice, another topic. Not a fun topic, but it is a public health. Yeah, I know. I should have went the other way around, maybe. I don't know. So this is a public health concern that we've been hearing a lot about with the school nurses, especially at USD 383, and with some of our childcare providers too. So we are actually partnering with the Flint Hills Wellness Coalition, as they are a 501c3. They can apply for the Memorial Hospital Foundation funds. We already apply for these funds every year with our MCH program, so we're ineligible to apply. So that's why we're partnering with Flint Hills Wellness Coalition. We're working very closely with the schools, especially 383 and the child care licensing program. And we're basically applying for the funds to be able to provide treatment to families if they're unable to pay for treatment for lice or bed bugs. We're also looking into several companies here in Manhattan that can help if we need to actually go into the home to get rid of the bed bugs. That way, it can be pretty pricey for some families. So we're looking at setting aside some of those funds for that as well. The application for that Memorial Fund is due tomorrow. So Deb Ness is working on that, and we hope to hear about that in the next few weeks. And we hope to have this implemented by the start of the fall. School's already started, so that's done. But maybe by September to be able to have these funds throughout the school year. And we'll really have to work with the nurses and with the childcare providers to determine who needs this treatment, because there will be some families that will be able to take care of those things on their own, but others might need our help through those treatment kits or other mitigation efforts. Some upcoming events. This upcoming Monday, August 22nd, Shanika Rose will be presenting the Community Health Improvement Plan preliminary results at the intergovernmental meeting. So that's basically the same presentation that you all saw individually with Shanika. It's going to be condensed. So she'll review that with those who are attending that meeting. On September, that's supposed to be September 13th. It's a Tuesday. We're having our Staff Professional Development Day. So we'll go over quality improvement project updates. We've asked Dr. Matt Wassam. He's a clinical director at Katie's Way. We've asked him to come in to give a childhood trauma presentation, and we'll also go over program updates. That is a quarterly professional development that we do throughout the year. And so we are going to be closed to the public for the morning, but then we'll resume our regular hours from 1 to 5 that afternoon. And we'll make sure to put that notice out along with Vivian's help. And then October 20th is our annual Oktoberfest at the FCRC building. That will be from 3 to 6, and all programs will be involved in that. We will have flu vaccinations as well as COVID vaccinations. So we'll start getting advertising out when it gets closer to that date. Any questions on anything? That's all I have. Okay. Yeah, very busy. It's exciting. Thank you.
And for lack of jinxing anything, cool with staff.
Yeah, I didn't say anything.
I did.
Yeah. Yeah, fully staffed for now.
Another department has a problem.
Yes, I know.
I would never do it. I'm gonna say that. I'm staring at him, just waiting for him to look at Julie did that. Goodbye, John. What?
Yeah.
I can't believe
Yeah.
I don't know.
I just need to tell them to start,
Okay.
which is waiting. Did Jeremy be over next week? Try to.
Okay. Yeah, I think that would be helpful.
I don't know what they did. But it's still.
Yeah.
See what could.
Right. Yeah.
I don't know. That's what I'm thinking.
Yeah, that's I didn't know.
Go out and get her. So choose it.
Okay.
So we're studying. It's maybe something less, not more than these. The rest of it's pretty.
Yeah. I didn't know what to talk about.
I expect.
Really?
Yeah.
See ya.
Yeah. Well, it's fun. They have all the trucks. All the trucks and everything. Oh, really? Maybe they have. Okay, so it's fine. No, I will. Here's where all our gas will come. That's on those pieces. They sound rock pieces. That's okay. That's the. Somebody.
Yeah. Which I'd seen another one too, so, but I guess they got the question. So. Yeah, it's not that interesting. I'm gonna make it. Yeah. Take me to or something. Like, sorry, I was excited, however.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
We're doing good.
Enjoying the cooler weather a little bit.
Yeah, it's a nice change of pace.
Mm-hmm.
I hope it doesn't lead into what the fourth summer.
Yeah.
This can't just look at least the extended forecast looks like it's like they're in the 80s, upper 80s.
You never know.
Might be time I have to quit making excuses and get back out and start running again.
Ah, the cooler mornings are nice,
Aren't they?
for sure.
I had to turn on the defrost the other morning
Yeah.
to get the condensation off the windshield.
Well,
And it works in the new vehicle real good too, so it's great on the fall and winter.
Yeah. It's like 60 degrees. John had to come down there because no one gets breathing anymore. We weren't expecting that. Worry about air conditioning. Yeah. Well, we've seen yeah. My dad had to get something in the shower was broken. Like, okay. Yeah. Well, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. If they have a mom, I get it. I wasn't either. She took him to the doctor. She said they had some sort of viral infection. She was on that air infection. So I went and looked, you guys got really bad. Looks like it hurt. She said that. It's bad. So she sounds terrible, but she's such an adult. You think the problem? She's like, yeah, I got changed twice. And just like this. Yeah. Yeah. Whatever you call it. I don't know. Yep. Yeah, I'm not ready to call that one. Anyways, when I joined, I went. Fine.
Like that all late summer, something in the air. All the hot air to get past there.
Air cleaners.
No, that's an air freshener.
Oh.
Yeah. When it's turned off, it makes awfully loud.
Makes a lot of noise.
You ready? Okay. Well, good morning. I'm Heather Ritchie. I'm the Child Care Licensing Supervisor, and we just thought that it would be a great opportunity to meet with you guys and just let you know exactly what child care licensing is and what we do on a day-to-day basis. So, as you know, we serve 5 counties. So we serve Riley, Gary, Clay, Dickinson, and Pottawatomie County. And then we have 4 staff members. I'm the supervisor, and then we have Angie Hobbs. She mainly covers Riley County. Julie Minnick then has North Riley, Gary, and Dickinson County. And then we have Anna Eisern, who covers Clay and Pottawatomie County. We do distribute complaints. So as complaints come in, we take turns on those. So we're kind of all spreading out in the different counties just to kind of see what's going on, make sure that a past surveyor has covered all those things and no one's missed anything. Sometimes different eyes catch different things. So we do mix up counties on our complaints. So we do get a lot of questions on who needs to be licensed. So anyone who cares for 1 or 2 children unrelated to the provider for more than 20 hours per week away from their home, they do have to be licensed, and those total hours are determined by adding the hours for each child. So you could do 5 and 15 or 10 and 10, but it can't be any more than 20 hours. And then anyone who cares for more than 2 children unrelated for any number of hours has to be licensed. So we survey several different types of facilities. We survey licensed and group daycare homes, child care centers, preschools, school age programs, school age drop-in programs. And we also have one resource and referral agency here in Riley County that we survey. Let's see. Can't really see this very well. But right now we do have a total of 265 facilities that we survey. Obviously, Riley County is our biggest. Pot County is next, and then Gary Dickinson, and then Clay. And there are several types of surveys that we do. So that initial survey is when someone opens up, when they've applied for a license through a KDHE. And that is the only scheduled visit they'll ever have. We make an appointment with them, come out. If it's a home, they'll have children in care sometimes. Anything else, centers, preschool, school age programs, they aren't technically open yet. They don't get a temporary permit until we actually come out and check the whole facility. Homes do get a temporary permit first before we come out. Annual surveys, they usually consist of 2 unannounced visits. So we'll go out, do that first survey, and then depending on their compliance, we may or may not go back. Sometimes if it's just paperwork or just a few things like that, or they've maybe had one electrical outlet uncovered and they fix it while we're there, we don't necessarily go out. But if it's a lot of paperwork or different environmental issues, we'll go out. Anything with safe sleep, being over in capacity, being out of your terms of your license, anything like that, we'll definitely go back out for a second visit. And then we also have a KDHE compliance check, which those are requested by KDHE, and they're also unannounced. So those are when facilities aren't in compliance on those first 2 surveys. They'll send us back out to make sure that they're in compliance. We've been having a lot of facilities right now that we're going out several times on KDHE compliance checks. So that's been an additional workload that we've had that we've not been used to in the past. And then we also have a complaint survey. So our complaints can be received by anyone in the community. It can be a parent, it can be a staff member, a neighbor, but they're kept confidential. We never relay that information to the facility of who called that in. We only go out on complaints that are regulatory in nature. So if a parent calls and they're upset about a contract issue or a payment issue, we don't deal with any of that. So we refer them back to the facility for that. So currently we actually have 13 open complaints as of today. We closed out 3 this week. So we are at an all-time number of complaints. If you look here, last year we had 40 total complaints. And as of right now, we're at 50. So our workload has been crazy busy this summer, trying to keep up with those complaints, as well as our annual surveys. We have due dates. So we have dates, they have to be back into KDHE. For our aid to local contract, we have to be within 90% of our timeliness. So we've pretty much been 100% every year that we've had the contract. There's been a couple issues
with COVID and those types of things, when facilities have been closed lately, that we haven't had that, we've always maintained at least, I think, 95%, if not 100. So we strive. KDHE doesn't understand. They're like, well, you only have to meet 90%. We're like, no, we want to be 100%. So that's just something we really strive to be in compliance with that. So the facilities, there is a statute that says that we have to be given right of entry and access to every place on the premise. So they do have to let us in if we come out. We did have an incident last week, and we've done it before in the past. That provider hasn't let us in. We know they're there. If we hear a child cry, this particular instance, we heard a child cry when we walked up to the door, knocked on the door, and we heard a click. And at that point, they kept knocking. And at that point, we called the sheriff's department. They came out. We called a welfare check just to make sure there's an adult in the home, since we could hear a child cry and no one's coming to the door. So she did open her door to the sheriff's department, and we went ahead and did our survey, but they do have to give us right of entry and access. So when we do go out to do a survey, we will look at the whole facility, the outdoor area, even rooms that they've made inaccessible. So if it's like in a home and they have a doorknob cover on their bedroom or a gate or anything that's locked, we don't necessarily go in there and inspect and look in drawers or anything like that, but we do take a peek in to make sure they don't have any hidden children, any major hazards like guns or anything like that. We do have providers that hide children. Just had it happen to me a month ago. She'd had children hidden in a closet. So there are reasons why we look in bedrooms, because people are like, well, we don't understand. I'm like, it does happen. So we have to check it. We have a survey tool. KDHE has a system called Claris. It's all online. So we take out, an iPad. We go over the survey tool with the program director or the provider. When we go out, as well as inspecting, we observe all the interactions. We try to observe nap time or lunchtime, outdoor play, diapering, and supervision. And we'll ask them questions. We don't necessarily read everything to them anymore. We try to ask them questions. What did you have for lunch today? What does your nap time look like? And things like that. Have that interaction. We also look at child and adult and staff files. We review their facility files. So maybe their fire stuff, insurance, anything like that, dog records, pet records. So we review all of that as well. And then at the end of every survey, we review all the findings with the provider, the program director. And at that time, they can ask us questions. We can maybe help them with figuring out how they can correct those issues. And then we email them a copy of that. Something that our personal CCL department has made with some organizational kits. We have those for homes and centers and preschools and school age programs, and they can purchase those. And each kit comprised of a facility file, and then we give them a sample child file or a sample staff file so they can be organized. We did just have one of our bigger organizations, Child Care Wear, reach out and ask us to purchase our kit so they could make one like ours. And I said, you need to make your own. That's our property and we've made it. And I feel like at this point, we're more than happy to share it with other surveyors or KDHE, but I feel like Child Care Wear probably needs to come up with their own kit. I'm not going to do their work for them. So, and then before we submit anything to KDHE, we may conduct that compliance check where we receive those corrections before we submit to KDHE. So once we submit our surveys to KDHE, KDHE decides any enforcements that's needed. We don't make any of those decisions. We may make a recommendation, but it's not typically up to us what happens next. So our enforcement may include a compliance check or a notice of non-compliance letter, custom compliance letter, an intent to deny application, or an intent to suspend the license, or an intent to revoke the license. We do have emergency suspensions of licenses. Doesn't happen very often. I probably say once a year we've had to do one of those. And that's when KDHE we feel that the children could be in imminent danger. And so we go out with law enforcement and serve them paperwork that closes that facility immediately. And they have to call parents and have all those children picked up. So we did one of those last year in Geary County, but not very common, which is good.
Thanks, community.
Yes, it does. It does. So we do offer trainings. So to be a home provider, you do have to go through an orientation. So we offer those orientations twice a month. We used to do those in person, and then with COVID, we realized that Zoom works great, especially for our providers that are out in those more rural counties, and so they don't have to drive here for the training. We can offer it on Zoom. We do those the second Tuesday and fourth Wednesday of the month. And then we also offer orientations for center and preschool, school age program directors as needed. And then we also provide just trainings for providers, and as well as we partner with Child Care Aware and Casito and Raising Riley. One thing that I forgot to add that we started doing last year, and I know Julie shared with you, but we started fingerprinting. I went to a training to do that. And so we also can fingerprint our providers or staff before they can work in the center. So they come to the resource, our family resource center, and I get them fingerprinted, and we charge a fee for that. So just a way to help the community and also bring in a little bit extra income for us. So also during COVID, we found it was really nice to offer just Zooms every once in a while with our facilities. During the main pandemic part of COVID, we were doing Zooms every month with our providers and our centers. Just kind of, it was nice for them. They could talk to each other, figure out, what are you guys doing? So they really enjoyed that. And I think it helped us build a better rapport with them, that they could see that we weren't there just for licensing or to write them up for something, that we did care, and we wanted to work with them to make things better. So we've continued doing those, mainly just when we have any updates or anything, but we'll continue doing those when needed. So you can also request any open records. You can contact the KDHE. They have all the official files. So you can either call them, or they also have a portal now that's on the KDHE website, and that system allows families to review the compliance history of a licensed facility for the last 3 years. So we really push that portal out to share with parents, or, if a parent does call in a complaint, we let them know that, one, the findings of the complaint will be on the portal at some point for them to know what happened. And two, if they're searching for a different childcare facility, to make sure they check the portal before they choose one. So I think a lot of that has also been a part of the complaints and why we're up. I think parents are a lot more educated now about licensing, and their expectations are a little higher. And so I feel like that's part of why our complaints the numbers have gone up. So do you guys have any questions for me? Nope. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you for coming in. So,
Yeah,
I mean,
you're welcome.
learned a lot.
Yeah, I mean,
I knew there was licensing, right?
yeah, that's why I thought it'd be good for you guys to know what we do day in and day
It's
out.
been a while since I had.
Yeah.
Interesting from my part, because I had a dialogue yesterday with childcare committee that the chambers put together, and of course, that dialogue, kind of moves over to here. So I may forward this over there, stay on that useful information too, but I'm sure they're.
And staffing is a big issue right now. I mean, I feel like everyone thinks we need more centers. We really don't. Our centers aren't fully, our K-State's only half capacity.
Yeah.
They can't find staff. That's the problem. So.
It was part of that discussion too.
Yeah.
And,
Well, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Okay, how are you?
Always on the life.
Well, in the meantime, I'll go ahead and make a motion that says recess the Board of County Health and reconvene as Board of County Commission.
I will second that.
Moving seconded recess for health and reconvene for the county commissioners. All in favor? Aye.
I,
You know, Kelly Wayne, there's no items or let's spring.
Okay.
Morning. Morning. How are you? All right. Yeah, better than I'm good. We're done. I don't have to dig it and find it. I'm guessing you're not scanning through some file there. Yeah. Right, so this video, I would explain it. I don't know. I wish you probably did that. Yeah. I didn't either. Filling with some trees this
I
morning.
know, because that, you're all that pretty over there.
Yeah. Oh. Yeah, I think I found out first. I actually. Yeah, right. There's that. Yeah, but you scan a copy of that, so then find copy of also. Person in place working on that dating starting Monday, be at the level. Technically, the operation manual doesn't set up anything. I think I might be thinking about that. Well, I can't make a move on side. Okay, so if there's anything else you need, we'll go from there. Yeah. You do. Close.
You're not in trouble. Stacks of paper. Well, kind of like you were saying.
Oh, okay. So. Taking the principle. They did more. Hey, actually, do you have a minute, Christian? Yeah. Okay.
You're not in trouble. Don't you pick it up.
And now when you do.
I should, right. No. I just wanted to actually give you the story, but I wanted to let you know that this was on the higher. Like. Okay.
Yeah. Thank you, but it's not what I've seen for you before. I was impressed. I was very surprised that, you know, and more help. When you
Just all scattering.
Like cats.
It's out for the
There's one.
Okay, speaking of just for a second. I'm gonna give you some more paper.
Oh, good, good. I just got through the last.
Can't make it do. And you say they could tell you the same why you started. Okay. Yeah. You can follow them talk to. He didn't. Yeah. Yeah, I'll probably.
Thank you.
Well, I know. Across from the golf course, they really have that park. Straight across from the course. Burn area up along the water. What I've seen is 500 feet out from the existing house and some of the others. And I wouldn't expect it. Neighbors would want that. House, there's a house there, there's a lot of government. They own that. They used to have someone. Hey, Sean, how you doing? Why would they? Yeah, I don't think they've done this.
He's got off easy.
I guess so.
Makes sense.
Cool. We're not even killing more trees this way.
Not on this one.
Full-time.
Even sometimes puts bow ties. Is like, with it.
I. They're talking about
Really?
But yeah, I mean. They're all. Yeah. So, I think it's worth.
So we can get it.
It's up on the website, the ability when it's all done.
Okay.
Election statistics.
Yeah.
It's up on the website.
Okay.
As soon as we get done with everything, then we're still waiting. Guys,
We use.
well, if they don't make a decision, so they're talking to me, but if they, you want to. So we try to be, and figure it out for their community and. We can, I have a shit.
Oh, do we have to sign off on it?
That was the bulk of it. You'll have the 10%.
Good morning.
Bill.
Rich, we have our Joint Corrections Advisory Board at 12, and a lot of these take Linda's signature too. Can I grab them after you guys sign them and take them to Jacob and then take them back to Cindy K? Okay, thank you. I promise I won't lose them.
Yeah.
I promise I won't lose them.
One's in the back corner.
I see him.
The other one's got Shanghai by the counselor.
Oh,
Leon stopped by the other day.
He stops in every once in a while.
So good to see him.
He looks good.
He does. That's what I said. You're glowing. Like you're just glowing. He said he was downtown running errands, and so he stopped in.
Yeah, he stops in every once in a while.
That's nice.
the retirement agrees with him then.
Yeah, it seemed to.
Everybody.
Mhm. That's what you hope for anyways, right? My your last item.
No.
Oh.
Hold on a minute.
No, I get, that's why I'm sitting here.
Oh, you just didn't want to watch me talk.
Yeah, he just came to see.
He just came to see Shelley. Did you hear me say Leon stopped by the other day?
No,
He was downtown running errands and just stopped by. It was good to see him. Headed to Ireland, I think I heard.
I have not heard or talked to him for quite a few months now. When he comes out to the office, he'll come to see me.
He avoids.
Julie and all that. More than some. But
Did you know him from your work?
I knew him before.
Yeah.
11:45. Oh.
Good morning. Hello. The first item that I have for you folks to address is the juvenile services line item adjustment. And the main reason for this, when we got that extra enhanced pay from the Department of Corrections, they actually put it in our Excel workbook for us and noted where it went. And so as a result, we had to back that out of the line item where they had put it so that we didn't go in the negative in any of the other line items. If it's more than 5,000, you folks have to approve it, as well as our Joint Corrections Advisory Board. And because of timing, they actually don't meet until 12 o'clock today. So it's kind of backwards, but we couldn't make that work any different. So essentially, we moved a lot of money from personnel to different personnel. As you know, we have 3 juvenile programs that we administer, and each of those, of course, were entitled to the enhancement pay. Intake, we needed vehicle insurance covered in all 3 of the programs. And so we had a little bit extra in contractual that we needed to move over to cover those vehicle expenses since our fiscal year ended June 30th. So that is the line item adjustments. I don't know if you want to take each item separately or.
Yeah. That's
Okay.
But this is never an easy process.
No.
Never.
Part of it's just weird.
And I was talking to somebody about that the other day. I think it'd be so much better if the state worked like everybody else and this year lined up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It would take care of a lot of these transgressions, but you know, so.
All right.
Right, yeah, I probably would have, we got to go to July and then deal with the 6 months at our own cost on top of it as a double whammy smack in the face, whatever. Okay, well, so it covers all of these, so we just need to do them one by one, is that right? Okay, so we'll start with the first one. I'll move to approve the fiscal year 23 adult services carryover reimbursement budget.
Nope.
Am I wrong?
The second one's 2023.
This is the line item adjustment one.
Juvenile service.
Item number 20.
You know what I mean? Okay. Move to approve the fiscal year 2 juvenile services line item adjustment.
I would second that.
Moved and seconded to approve the fiscal year 22 juvenile services line adjustment. All in favor? Aye.
Chairman, bottom one document.
Thank you. The next item before you is the FY23, which started July 1, Adult Services Carryover Reimbursement Budget. As you know, if somebody has a positive drug test, we have to send that to the lab and the expenses quadruple. And so we try to recoup some of those costs in as much as possible. We also, for our adult felons, charge a $100 supervision fee that is collected over the course of their probation, one-time fee. So for FY23, there is $13,995.71 in carryover reimbursement dollars. We started the most recent fiscal year, FY22 that closed with 11,500 approximately, and collected 5,900 of that and spent 3,400 of that. This pot of money, I have to ensure we have enough if somebody were to leave the organization to pay out their annual leave and their extended sick leave. So I do have to protect a certain amount of that. And we try really hard not to spend any of it if we don't have to from year to year. And so this is, again, the FY23 Adult Services Carryover Reimbursement Budget in the amount of $13,995.71.
I'm gonna start over. And move to approve the fiscal year 23 adult services carryover reimbursement budget in the amount of $13,995.71.
I would second that.
Moved and seconded to approve the fiscal year 23 adult services reimbursement budget. All in favor? Aye.
Chairman, please.
Great. The next item is the FY23 Juvenile Services Carryover Reimbursement Budget. That currently has $14,160.77. We started FY22 with $15,192, collected $30 for my jury duty reimbursement and $1,700 in immediate intervention or diversion fees. We have a diversion fee of $50 and we collected $1,750 over the course of FY22. And we spent $2,800 out of that amount. Again, this would go to pay out anyone who left the organization. And so I do have to protect a little bit of it, despite the Department of Corrections making us actually put it into a budget. So FY23 Juvenile Services Carryover Reimbursement, $14,160.77.
Move to approve the fiscal year 23 juvenile services carryover reimbursement budget in the amount of $14,000.
I would second that.
Been moved and seconded to approve the fiscal year 23 juvenile services carryover reimbursement. All in favor? Aye.
And the final item that you have before you is the unfortunate, sad item. We have a request to fill a juvenile intensive supervision officer / case manager position. This position is actually, we've not advertised for this position since the person that's in the position was hired 14 years ago. We have 5 full-time probation officers within community corrections. And this is the first one that we've had to hire for 14 years, which is pretty amazing given the nature of the job. She's actually great news going over to the health department and gets to keep her benefits and pay and everything. So we're excited. It's bittersweet. We're excited for her. Just tired of working with juvenile offenders, which is understandable. And So we are needing to advertise and fill that position. She carries a caseload of, at any given time, she probably has 30 to 35 on immediate intervention diversion, as well as 5 to 6 on intensive probation. And then she also is our juvenile intake and assessment go-to person. And so she's kind of seen as our expert in the juvenile intake and assessment arena. So it will be a huge loss to the organization, but a great gain for the health department. So I'm happy for Julie and her folks. Sad for us, but.
So have you revised this job description?
I think we tweaked it.
Shelley went through it, and she did make some mostly grammatical changes, not as far as responsibility goes.
Yeah.
The primary duties, essential duties, all of the expectations have remained the same.
Yeah, 14 years.
And but she's not the only person in this position, in this role, this position description, so.
We had recently updated these maybe in 15-ish.
I think it was 15 days.
15. So it's pretty up to date as far as our jobs go. They don't change a whole lot over the years.
So you just went through it this month, and did some, I thought some
Yeah, grammatical. Yeah. So I think technically, is it a request to fill?
It is a request to,
Yeah, request
yes,
to
they would have to give you permission to open and fill.
To open and fill, okay.
Are you, or maybe said this as internal or external currently?
Both.
Both?
Yes, yeah, we're gonna open it externally, and if there's anyone internally that would like to apply, we would encourage that.
That
Yeah.
answers that.
Yep. We don't have anyone internally that we've identified.
Okay. Go ahead and move to approve, motion and request to fill the vacancy of the juvenile intensive supervision officer case manager position.
I would second that.
Second to approve, request to fill an open upcoming vacancy. All in favor?
I'll make a motion that we quit having such long time.
So I was gonna commend it, but you stumbled over it. We didn't get to choose that title. That title was given to us by the state, so. Yeah, and Shelley and I actually already had that conversation of like, what does a case manager mean? What do they manage?
Yeah.
So, yeah. They like their acronyms. Yeah, and we do actually use an acronym. We just call it the ISO 1 or the ISO 2. The whole title. Yeah. Great.
Thank you. So does this mean then we can open it, like advertise and stuff?
Yes, that's what this means. So it'll
okay.
take a day to process through, get this uploaded, and
Okay,
then it
great.
should be advertised tomorrow.
Oh, great. Thank you, folks. She was kind enough to give us 3 weeks notice. So that was awesome. It's a little bit of lead time. So. Oh, thank you. Okay, I'll bring it back to Cindy after our meeting.
Yeah, if not, then you gotta deal with Cindy.
Thank you. Thank you guys for your time. See you.
Ready? John Ellerman, Public Works. And in your packet today is a federal fund exchange with KDOT. We are obligated to receive $253,886 and some change from the feds. With this federal fund exchange, KDOT will take these and use the federal funds on their projects and give us state funds, which opens up a little more freedom on how we use the money, as long as it's used on transportation projects. So that exchange is 90 cents to the dollar. What we would receive back is $228,497.50. In your packet are to sign the request to exchange from the commissioner to sign that. and our chairman. And then we'll submit right away. I've got some pay estimates for the 32nd Avenue Bridge that will qualify. And so we'll get that sent in to get our money to come back. I would request that we can put those into the CIP for transportation funds as we receive them, to basically store up to use for another project like you approved a few weeks ago for the Tabor Valley Bridge. Or, you know, it could be any road or type of project.
Do we have, okay, we have to do this by certain date?
That needs to be in by here, I think, middle of September. Yes, but so as soon as you sign it and I get the papers back, I'm turning it in.
So we don't have this earmarked for any particular project.
Not right now.
Well, I would make a motion to approve the chairman's request to exchange federal funds with the state of Kansas and deposit the funds in CIP for use on future transportation related projects.
Moved and seconded to approve the request to exchange federal funds with the state of Kansas. All those in favor?
Aye.
Chairman, sign, please. Thank you, Don.
Thank you.
Anything else?
I have a lot of commissioners, Stephanie Peterson, who's now the city of Manhattan. The city is going to be going forward with the downtown plan update. And she had sent me an email that says, I'll read it. Wanted to reach out to you to let you know, city is initiating an update of the downtown tomorrow plan, it's called. With the county being a significant employer downtown, I wanted to extend an invitation to you to serve on our project steering committee. This is me personally. I'm guessing this group will meet a half dozen times over the next year. We also want to meet with you individually, discuss needs of county in relation to downtown at some point. If you can know, you let me know your thoughts on the steering committee. Two things that make it difficult. I talked to my thoughts are maybe it'd be better if a commissioner was on it. I think it's ultimately difficult right now, given I'm not sure there's a consensus on long-term viability of the county down here, given what ends up with the church, because you need more land if you're going to stay down here long-term. No matter what anyone says, you need more land and more square footage. So I think whoever's on this, it makes it difficult to say what our long-term vision is. It's either going to be limited down here and we're going to have to expand somewhere else, or very robust down here. So whoever is on it, possibly a commissioner, maybe Amanda be on it. I don't know. I really don't feel inclined to be on it because I'm not sure there's a clear direction where we're going to be here long term. That someone needs to be on it.
Seems like to me it's a planning issue, so Amanda would probably be the best bet there, but conversation would have to ensue on where we're at. I think we discussed it, really all three of us have different vision at this point in time. I really don't know.
So I think we need to participate, but I don't know that anyone can give good direction on where we're going to be 10 to 20 years. I mean, we have to have more reports, we have to have more administrative support footage.
Well, it's here, not we don't. Yeah. So, I mean, I don't mind being on.
I don't know, yeah, I wouldn't mind being on it, but I don't know.
Waste of time.
Well, I mean, I don't know. You know,
I guess whoever's on it has to relay that, you know, we're uncertain at this point in time. It could either be A or B or C.
Probably a good idea to keep track of what you're doing.
Well, in this particular instance, downtown is kind of its own thing within,
Yeah,
and that's kind of what they're doing comprehensively, but. You know, we're also working on comprehensive plans. I don't know if any of that would be. Potentially more clear along the way or not. I don't know. I guess time will tell on that, but, you know, yeah, I
Generally, you're probably better off with a seat at the table rather than not knowing what's going on.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
and report back.
Exactly. Bring back reports.
Some county gets your blinds on.
I'm not sure. I have to ask. I think Amanda is serving on that downtown board or in some capacity. Yeah, Monty always used to, I know.
Yeah.
Monty was always the downtown with Gina Snyder, not downtown Manhattan. So, yeah, that'd be a good tie in there.
Does she have time when she's on a lot of stuff?
It only meets 6 times in a year. I'm probably gonna be in the evening sometime. So I imagine she would be interested in doing it.
Yeah, you want to check her, if she isn't, then come back. See if she. I guess.
Sounds good. And then the other thing is, have met with Russell, Elizabeth, Daryl and I met talking about, you know, solutions for volunteer fire. Because it's been an issue we've been dealing with since Pat Collins trying to find a way, you know, to enhance that. I know you were at a meeting and one thing that was mentioned was a $10 stipend and what we think would be a good idea is present commissioners how, including a potential stipend, but other things, but wait until these 3 that we're spending about $3,000 to go to a volunteer firefighter conference to present an all-inclusive report on. We've got some other ideas that we're not so sure the $10 stipend is enough. It's probably going to cost more money, but then other ideas that won't cost necessarily this year, but maybe a point system to gain, you know, like a nice coat, that, you know, like a box of steaks, you know, because they're looking at the lower income level of individuals, but there are a lot of them that help volunteer fire. And there's about 20% of volunteer firefighters that don't take anything. They see it as a community service, but there's that other group that at gas $5 a gallon, it's costing them the money.
That was something, one of the things for us.
So if that's okay,
Like training meetings, you know, and come and even drive their cars.
Yes, they get paid nothing for training meetings.
But they don't get paid for training meetings, but and like I said, there are a couple things. Well, you know, I do this because I should, not because of, and
Yeah.
and I don't accept this. Right. Because they do for a little bit for.
So if that's okay, we just do wait until those guys all attend that conference, which is on volunteer fire and, you know, how you can attract and retain. And present an all-inclusive report to say, okay, stipend at this level, plus let's consider doing 1 or 2 other things. Is that okay with the board?
That's good. You know, we're supposed to, you know, you have to do the things.
Yeah.
Yeah, like a better way to do it. Fine.
And he agreed after we had talked about it, you know, because to me, it just made sense with those, we're spending all that money for them to go to that conference on this very subject, so let's see what they bring back. Yeah. Yeah, for sure. I need we have thought of.
I did.
It is.
Oh, yeah, it's an national problem. Yeah, and like I said, Pat Collins, got it ready, you know, I've worked on it for years.
I'll send you a complete.
No, we
It had the notice on it.
Yes. Sorry, it's disability benefit. I know there's a lot of places don't get through the county and different things are available now, but do a little.
Retirement.
That's the other thing that we do as well, for them through the county that never used to be implemented and stuff. Yep. So we're working on trying to help that situation.
The people that get into it are. No, I mean, they get.
Some of the hours, some of those fires, the amount of time that they
And I think that some of them are getting burned out. Running that others. So then when they leave it on, it sit that much harder on the next
and
guy.
that's just kind of a rural population problem, you know, with a lot of young ones not staying around, for sure.
Yeah, the age of our volunteer fire departments.
Yeah, that's for sure. And those are generally the ones that don't want anything.
Yeah. I say, I can call them old because they're all younger than me, but they're.
There's a good list of them that are younger than me too.
I know, I know there are some yet.
That was good. So I'll contact Amanda, see if she can, if she's interested in that for the county. I don't think she will be. Let Stephanie know. That's all I got, sorry.
That's no executive session.
You know, that's a great idea. Let's have one. What the heck?
All right. I don't even got one call us for Monday.
Yes.
Go on reserve.
Yeah.
There.
Good motion. Go ahead and make a motion that we adjourn the August 18th meeting of the Riley County Commission.
I would second that.
Been moved and second to adjourn, all in favor?